Bum ba-da-da-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum 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 bum. Welcome to Light Diamond Creative Podcast Season 2. Do do. Bum 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 bum. Welcome to Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel. This is podcast season 2 with yours truly, The Awakening audio biography, available on Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel for free. If you have listened to some of this podcast material before, thank you for returning for another series, another season of creative content. These podcasts have been some of the most fun creative projects that I've worked on up to this point. So I really appreciate all of you out there in the universe who are tuning in, tapping in, turning on with the information being shared on this platform. The first podcast series is dedicated to meditation, the science and experience of, plus a few online guided meditations that you can use at your own discretion for free, available to you for the collective upliftment of humanity, starting with the self, people. Transforming from the inside out, affecting the external reality by going within. Yes, that is what we are talking about in podcast season 1. In this podcast season, we're doing things just a little differently, a little switch, a little shift of topics. And this is one that has been ready. It's ready now. It is ready. The Awakening audio biography, including but not limited to the dark night of the soul and awakening experiences, especially since the dawn of my own life. In episode 1, we talked about the religious, spiritual context in my young life. And really, this is to share, because this story, there will be many overlaps that you may feel in your own experience. And what I'm hoping to do with this story is to give tidbits and experience and wisdom about the awakening journey as a human on Earth right now, because I know that many of us are, what can I say? Going through levels of awakening. The collective seems to be going through its own awakening. So this story is to serve us through this time with what I have learned through the awakening process. Feel free to accept or reject as you wish. In the second episode, we talked about revelations I had in college related to the degree I was pursuing, and really got into some cool biology knowledge, talking about the demonstration of evolution, talking about another course, the dimensions of religion, talking about physics and the natural universe, and what these courses did to stimulate my own personal awakening. That is a cool episode. And then in the last episode, we got to the point where I moved to Florida. And why would this story be important at all? Well, there was a time, many years, where I have kept much of this story to myself. And what I think is true is that as we begin to communicate our stories, we go through a healing process, and those stories can really help people along the way. So it's a win-win situation. And really, I haven't shared my perspective of the events that occurred throughout this experience. And today we are on a very special topic, a topic that will last a number of episodes and come back around for many more cycles of my life, I'm sure, as I continue to reflect on the experience of the one and only Ben Russell. I think it would be especially appropriate, considering who we are talking about, that the time and date of this recording is 4/20. And not only is it 4/20, it is a date of solar eclipse, visible not from the US, visible in Australia is what I've been told by external sources, word of mouth. And not only is this day 4/20, celebration of the ganja, celebration of legalization of the ganja, medicinally, recreationally, not only is it a day to appreciate the medicine that is cannabis. Yeah, you heard me say it. Not only is it a day for that, it is not only a day for a solar eclipse when the earth, moon, and sun are in such alignment that we would experience an eclipse. It is also a special day because of it being a new moon. And every time there is a solar eclipse, it occurs on a new moon. However, not every new moon is a solar eclipse. And so, for many reasons, today is very special. I hope you're enjoying it wherever you are for one reason or another. 4/20. This information, this date being especially, how can I say? Appropriate, yes, appropriate. Appropriate for addressing this period of my spiritual awakening in meeting someone who would awaken me more than anyone else had in my life up to that point outside of my parents. As an adult, this person, Ben Russell, played the most significant role in my spiritual development outside myself and how I decided to navigate these situations. So, in today's episode, Meeting Ben, we will attempt to set the stage for the slew of events that would occur within the year of meeting him. If you listen to the last episode, and I always recommend, you'll hear me say in both of the podcast seasons, that going back to the beginning will definitely help things make the most sense. So that's what I would recommend. Although, if you're just here for this episode, that's cool too. But the story, chronologically, probably will make the most sense. So, meeting Ben, in the last episode, we finished the episode by meeting him at the gym. So I had just moved to Florida from North Carolina. I had been invited down to pick up another cycle of work with sea turtle research and conservation as a biologist that had recently graduated. Had been spending some time in North Carolina with the friends who I'd moved out with and another friend who I met along the way. And then after about a year and a half, however long, how long was it? I just don't know. It may have not even been a year. It was probably, we were there September through March. I was there September through March, so barely half a year. And then I get this call to come down to Florida and begin this position with sea turtle research, which is a different story, but still a great one. And I had lucked out in a spot that I was living at. And still, even though, I had this cool job and I had this amazing place I got to live at, I felt so alone. And, here's the beginning of the spiritual aspect of it, because I think a lot of spirituality, the end game would be to feel connected, to feel oneness, to be in good relationship with the external and with ourselves. So here I was in Florida and feeling so alone. I thought, I will go to the gym. I'm going to the gym. I'm joining a gym. And I had played college ball, so I thought, this is great. I love working out. I'm going to the gym. That's what's happening. Got lined up with a personal trainer to do kind of an expose, an introduction session for free, where the trainer would do a personal analysis of myself after going through a series of exercises together. And the trainer, that fateful day, Wednesday, it was probably in April or May of 2015, and I go into the gym and I meet the trainer, Ben Russell. Ben Russell, everybody. Ben Russell, the love muscle. Ben, upon first impression, so Ben was a genetic freak. I was very... Ben is the type of person who everyone met and loved immediately because he was a genius, an original thinker, a rebel, stubborn, hilarious, and people really loved Ben for that. And so it was really cool to go through a session with him, and I couldn't do one-on-one sessions with him because I was, as a 24-year-old, making $11 per hour in my career, and there's no way that personal training was going to fit in with that budget. So he offered to me to join his group training, and I began to go hang out with the group training weekly. It was something that really helped me come into connection with people of the area and just feel good about being part of a community. And so Ben and I became friends, and he had a friend group already at the gym, and we all became friends. And eventually we became, after a few months, such good friends that I would go over and hang out with Ben and his friends that he was living with, working with, and I would go hang out with all of them, and we had a blast together. We all became good friends, and it was mostly through the glue that Ben was as a person. He was magnetic, and he really, despite his faults, held people together. He was always one to support the fitness journey, especially of people he knew, with all of the knowledge he had gained. And he was a genius, so we all loved him. We all loved Ben, even though, he had some issues. But don't we all? So thinking about Ben and thinking about coming into connection in this community. Oh, by the way, right now as I speak, it is 4:20 on 4/20/2023. Hey! Woo! Bless up! Happy solar eclipse, people. Happy new moon. Ben, we all became such good friends that when I knew... So, backstory, okay. This will all make sense one day, but you got to get the important parts of this story. So, before I had moved down to Florida from North Carolina, I had been on a show. And it's funny that we're talking about it now because this show was part of a reason that I was recently released from a job. that's okay because I do not regret being on this show. It was a VH1 show, dating naked, and it was PG-13, people, okay? PG-13. All the butts and boobs and everything else was blurred. No harm done. So I had just gotten back from a trip to film for this show a couple weeks before moving down to Florida. And after a few months of meeting Ben and making friends, the show, one of that, I was only on one, the show would be released. And so with this group, this new troupe, this new friend group, we got some, we made a party out of it. There were just like 5 of us, and we got some wine. I'm pretty sure I drank an entire bottle of wine that night because I was nervous about what would be revealed, so to speak, but on this show. And I knew going into the show, I had been working on YouTube content for a while, and I had been editing content and all of that. And I knew that I had been awakened to the power of editing and how really if someone's doing a lot of editing, they can make anything almost look like anything. So knowing that, I wanted to be on this show to see how a reality show is filmed, how it's done, what the behind the scenes experiences are like. And that was a huge draw for me to go to this show. I was on my best behavior, okay? I may have been naked, but my behavior was a 10. I really wanted to behave because I knew that if something happened or if you just have to be really careful because the reality people didn't know me. They had known me through the interviews that I had done, but they weren't really there to look out for me, my best interest or my reputation. And so I just wanted to be really careful. It's one of the reasons I got let go from the show because I didn't cause any drama, despite the fact they put me in a room to be isolated for a few hours that was literally stacked with boxes of alcohol. It's like, okay, well, we need you to be isolated in a room while we film outside so that you're not caught in the back. So yeah, we'll put you in this room and there will be maybe 1,000 bottles of alcohol there. So yeah, feel free to have as much as you want so we can film you after. That's basically what that was about. I didn't drink any. I took a nap, and that was a great decision. In any case, fast forward to when this show got released, and I did feel nervous because who knew? Who knew what they would do with things I said? Sound can be edited. And just FYI, these podcasts are minimally edited. Most of them have no sound editing at all. And they are recorded from front to back without any cuts or anything like that. So I knew that it was possible my voice could be spliced and words could be rearranged. They can have a person talking and then go off to a B-roll and change the words where it looks like I'm saying it, but I didn't say it the way that they edited the words to say, So I was nervous and had no idea how I would be portrayed or, I used to be pretty judgmental of myself and overly critical. So, that was kind of the mental state I was in. I was just recovering from oh my gosh, from being bulimic and anorexic, which I've touched on just a little bit before. And so kind of a sensitive thing to watch yourself on TV, on national television with a blurred butt. But it wasn't so bad. I just thought that they made me look like a lesbian, which I came out as bi a couple years later, so no big deal, okay? In any case, Ben and this friend group is who I watched the episode with. And when the episode was over, I felt defeated. I was being overly critical of myself, and I didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to sulk. Okay, I just want to sit there on the couch, and I ended up staying the night over at this house with all of the friends who I had watched it with. And Ben specifically, when the question was, can Martha stay the night? The answer, Ben's, was, yeah, if you don't touch me, you can sleep in the bed and don't touch me at all. If you touch me, then this will never happen again. And so, the show ends. It's probably past 11 p.m. and I'm granted access to a bed. Ben and I had no romantic feelings. I hadn't developed any at that point. And so I just wanted a place to sleep and to be around friends. And so I honored Ben's wishes. They were mine as well. And we slept back to back, a foot apart all night long, woke up in the morning. All right, thanks. He was like, thanks for not touching me. And that is Ben. Things did change. Oh my goodness. Boy did they ever. Getting to know Ben. Well, one thing is Ben did not have a lot or any money, and that's okay. No judgment. I've definitely had my fair share of that experience. Ben, getting to know him, he didn't watch TV, which I really liked, and he would help people just have a good time. And he was also very vocal. That is part of what has been activated in me by him, is the vocality of him. He not only was a great coach in the gym and so encouraging and even tough, some tough love with his clients, with those of us who worked out with him. Like I said, this guy was a genetic freak and a genius, so he knew what he was doing. And getting to know him, a lot of us who loved him and spent time at this house, we would go outside. We wouldn't watch TV in the evenings. We'd just hang out. I'd get home from Sea Turtle work. I barely went to my house. I would go over to this house where Ben was and the friend group, and we would hang out and just have a good time together. We would be outside on the patio playing beer pong. Now, hold on, because at this point, the use of alcohol and all of that, there's been a series of awakenings for yours truly around that subject. But at that point, almost a couple years out of college, I was still playing beer pong. And Ben was really good at it. And we would spend time outside on the patio playing with everybody, playing games, and also just listening to Ben, because he had such a brilliant mind. And so he, especially when we were hanging out and really turning up, Ben would have these things that he just really needed to say. Perspectives about life, perspectives about the world, perspectives about religion, the ironies and hypocrisy within different perspectives of religion. And he would say things in such a way that you just never had heard anything like that before, like what Ben was saying and the way he was saying it. And he would take these concepts that were seemingly unrelated and relate them in a way where he delivered the information that just made somebody laugh their ass off. So it was so awesome to spend time with him because he was refreshing. He was really spiritually refreshing. He, I would say, dissented from the classic Christian way of life because he asked a lot of questions early on about its validity and about certain hypocrisies that he saw within that religious practice. And so he would just go off. He would just go off. Now, I'm not saying that Ben was right about everything, but the guy sure had a way of illuminating things that were totally unique to his spirit. And being exposed to someone like that who was not afraid to talk, who was not afraid to challenge social thought, and who was not afraid to go into the deeper subjects, being around him really began to wake me up. And up to that point in my life, I had never been a big talker. You know, we've got these podcast series now, but your girl was pretty quiet early on. And I really don't remember speaking very much in high school. I don't remember speaking a lot in college either. And listening to Ben, it was like, wow, I didn't speak. We spoke. I would say stuff, but he was the vocal one of the group, and we would just listen to him. And start ping-ponging different ideas back and forth. Mostly I listened, though, and I remember him going off one night. So he was just on such a roll that about 20 minutes into him on this rant, I began to film him without him knowing, because he was so funny, and I didn't want him to know I was filming him, because I thought that would take away from this freaking performance of gold that he was giving. He went on for like 57 minutes in this video that I captured of him that night. And so this is meeting Ben. This is who Ben was. Loved by almost everyone who knew him. A genius, an original thinker, a rebel of sorts. So stubborn, to the point it just made your eyes roll, and love him for it anyways. And this guy was a comedic genius as well. This is Ben, and in the next episode, we are going to be talking about the developments with Ben along our path together, and all of that awakening process that would continue with Ben and post Ben. So this is an introduction to Ben's stories. You'll hear me talk about him. Happy 420, happy solar eclipse, happy new moon, everybody. We'll remember this day forever as the day that we came to know Ben Russell, the Love Muscle, a little bit better. Our guy, Ben Russell. Please tune in. Feel free to tune in to the next episode, episode 5, coming soon. This is Martha with Light Diamond Creative, and this content is free for you, for your enjoyment, your entertainment, your learning, your benefit, your awakening. If you'd like to support the channel in any way, feel free to donate on Cash App, on Venmo, at Light Diamond Creative, to keep the info rolling. I hope you all have a good one. Peace.